What's good, it's Suppressors Only here, and in today's video we're going to discuss the recent coup attempt in Russia by the Wagner Mercenaries. Apparently, what sparked this coup attempt was the Russian forces fired on Wagner Mercenaries in Ukraine, so because of that, the leader of Wagner responded by sending his 25,000 troops back to Moscow to eliminate Putin. Unfortunately, this coup only lasted for 24 hours and it wasn't successful, but if it was successful, it really makes you wonder how history would have changed. But I know later on that Putin made a deal with the leader of Wagner and his soldiers that if they returned back to the front lines of Ukraine, they would be forgiven and nothing would happen to them or their family. But on their way to Moscow, I know they captured the city, shot down multiple aircraft carriers, and even convinced some local law enforcement and military troops to join them on their way to take out Putin. So for those of you who don't know who the Wagner Group is, they're basically a mercenary group contracted by Russia. They have had a presence in the Middle East and in parts of Africa. I know more recently they have been in Mali, specifically in the northern region. In Mali, they have issues with Islamic extremists, but because of the Wagner Group, they have had a lot of issues. The Wagner Group is a military group they're very brutal. They don't really care about infrastructure or civilian life. They really just care about getting the job done, which because of that, it leads to articles like this coming up. So you can pause the video if you want to read this. But basically what it says is that the Wagner Group killed 500 civilians during a military operation in Mali. And it shows that the brutality of this group, they don't really care about like civilian life. And they're operating currently in Ukraine right now. So who knows like what they're doing out there as well. But also, what I want to point out is that this group has very close ties to Putin, and for them to turn against him, especially during like this moment, and actually march towards Russia, it shows how march towards Moscow. It shows how in control Putin is of the whole Ukraine conflict. He's not in control at all. And we know this because U.S. intelligence has gathered so much information since the war began that they know Russia is ill-equipped for this war, and they knew prior, like 2 weeks before the Wagner company actually like tried their coup attempt, that they were gonna attempt this. People in Congress actually knew about it. And something interesting that I thought you all should know is that during this coup attempt, the Wagner group painted their tanks, the letter on their tanks, red, and currently the Russian military paint the letter on their tanks white, right? So it's funny because this correlates back to the Russian Revolution when the Reds faced the Whites. And I think it's just funny because Wagner used this tactic to try to persuade the Russian people and show that they were the good guys. So something that I want to talk about is how will this coup attempt look on Putin, especially because he's supposed to be this real strong leader. If you ever see the pictures that he takes, he's very masculine. He shows that he wants to show he's very masculine and that he's a strong leader. But this, in all honesty, is a very big talent of showing his weakness, especially because he forgave them. So maybe in the near future or something, uh, I think that Putin will try to deal with the leader of Wagner, probably assassination attempt or something like that. But I know currently, right now, that the families of troops in the Wagner mercenary group are currently getting death threats. And even though Putin said that he won't forgive them, I still believe that there will be some backlash to those people and their families because of this, because it's going to have such a negative impact on his image. Next thing I want to talk about is how Ukraine will use this event. Already this is probably a huge morale boost for Ukraine troops, especially because prior to this they already knew that Russian troops were divided and very ill-equipped for this war. If some of you haven't read articles, but Russian troops during the beginning of the war, because they had so little progress, they began to like refuse orders, and like certain generals and captains had to actually go to the front lines, which made them easy for Ukrainian troops to kill, through drone strikes or snipers, however they did it, which is just another, again, more morale killer for Russian troops. But anyway, yeah, uh, the troops already were having issues on the front line. So if they hear this back home that like there was a small coup attempt, then I don't know how much longer this conflict will last. Just because of all those morale killers, and on top of that, there's a lot of corruption in Russia that has stopped actually like the preparation for this war, and even that is still affecting the current troops in Ukraine right now. So I don't know if any of you noticed, but before Putin actually became president of Russia, the previous president of Russia was corrupt, and because of that, the people of Russia wanted him to be held accountable for his crimes. So this is where Putin comes in, because he helped Putin become the next president, and him and Putin struck a deal that basically was that if he helped Putin become the next president, Putin would pardon him of all his crimes. Which, when Putin became president, he pardoned him of all his crimes. So Putin became president through corruption, and there's corruption at all levels in Russia. Even before the war in Ukraine, Putin bribed. He was supposed to bribe some of the local officials in Ukraine, like the mayors and stuff, because he wanted information on like just basically simple things like where streets were, road signs, like stuff like that. Just so his troops are more knowledgeable, so it'd be easier to capture territory in Ukraine. But the spies, instead of bribing the government officials in Ukraine, they just pocketed the money. So right now we're seeing firsthand how the corruption in Russia is affecting the troops on the ground. Another reason why Russian forces aren't successful in Ukraine, besides Ukraine getting aid from the US and Western nations, is basically because Russian forces don't work together. Their generals refuse to work together because they want to basically get glory for themselves. They know if they're successful that Putin would reward them, or give them money, bonuses, whatever it is. So they want to like claim all the glory for themselves, and this causes a lot of issues because they refuse to share any vital information with each other that could lead to a successful campaign. So this is pretty much the end of the video. Uh, as always, subscribe. Thank you if you made it to this far in the video. I really appreciate it. And I know currently right now that the leader of the Wagner group, he has been sent to Belarus, and he's no longer, I think, in charge of the company or the mercenary group. But he's probably going to be assassinated there, if I'm being honest, because Putin won't take very kind to this, and he's already being separated from his support. So without a doubt, he's probably about to be assassinated soon. But I will be posting another video shortly. I'm gonna try to get at least 3 to 4 videos in a week, just to keep you guys updated on certain things. Tomorrow, or I won't say tomorrow, but my next video is gonna be on, for those of you who don't know, it's the Home Depot girl. I want to talk about it, and I think it's another very interesting topic that shows how women could be sexualized, or are sexualized, when we're basically doing nothing. I won't get too much in detail about it, but thank you again. As always, I appreciate it, and I'll see you next time.